Hello viewers, our team has carefully selected these messages for your edification and transformation. Watch and stay blessed.
You know, as a married man, if me and my wife have a misunderstanding, and I come and hold her hand like this, I know that it's not I'm only holding 30% of the hand. She has not given me 60%. The average believer doesn't know how to give himself to the spirit of prayer. There is a personality that walks prayer from your human spirit because you do not have the energy to communicate enough for it to make an impression in the courts of heaven. So the prayer protocol, the prayer process is driven by the spirit of prayer. But you see, it's what you give the spirit of prayer that he works with. If all you give the spirit of prayer is your physical body, then the spirit of prayer will only be able to energize your physical body. My first lesson is to teach us how to give your soul. How do you give your spirit? How do you allow yourself to be overtaken by the spirit of prayer? Because for many of us in this room, you have never experienced that intercourse with God where God sweeps you off and you are no longer in charge. And then he releases you from detention 3 hours later. Many of us here have never experienced that. Not because you are not powerful enough. I've heard of your stories. But the problem is you don't know how to give yourself to the spirit of prayer. Prayer contains the total man. I had to go reading the hymns of the 18th century because in the hymns of the 18th century, I found testimonies in some of the hymnals that revealed great lives of devotion in the saints that wrote these hymns. So I got one. This is what the saint wrote in his hymn. He said, "It is not enough to bend the knee and the words of prayer say. The heart must with the lips agree, or else we do not pray." There must be that point where your heart and your mouth meet in agreement, because it is possible for your heart to be saying something and your mouth to be saying something else. You see, this creature we call man is a complex entity. It has diverse parts that may seek to resonate on different frequencies. But being able to collocate the parts of this entity called man and to submit such parts to the spirit of prayer so that it can walk out the protocol of bringing you before the presence of God. If you pray this kind of prayer, you will feel God's response on every part you make available to God. You will feel it on your spirit, you will feel it on your physical body, and you will feel it in your soul. The way to give yourself to prayer is to make what is on God's heart your goal. The moment your motivation for prayer is something that is self-centered, the river of prayer is not likely to overflow you. The moment what brought you to the prayer room is not in direct sync with what is on the heart of God, you have lost the opportunity to be overwhelmed by the spirit of prayer. I know that there are legitimate needs in your life and you want to talk to God about those needs. There's nothing wrong with that. But the reason why you're an intercessor is not to pray your prayers, but to pray God's prayers. So there's a time for you to pray your prayers. But the reason why you pray every day is not to pray your prayers. The reason why you pray every day must be to pray God's prayer. When your desire in your prayer adventure is to know what is on the heart of God, then the protocol of spiritual intercourse begins, because God begins to share his heart with you. And for every strand of disclosure that God makes, he sucks you into himself until there is no loose end left. You might find yourself crying and your prayers are not in words that an onlooker can pick and know what you are praying about. That's the kind of prayer that Anna was praying, and even the priest himself could not adequately judge the spiritual transaction that was taking place because it was intercourse. She felt it in her spirit, she felt it in her soul, and she mirrored it in her body. She forgot herself. And the man looked at the woman and took her for drunk. Are you still with me? So if I wake up in the morning, the reason why I woke up that morning is not because I'm smart. I woke up in the morning because God decided to show me mercy. So my day must begin with finding out, why am I here? Why am I here today? Why did I survive? Many of us trivialize waking up. But the reason why you woke up is not because of any business you are doing or the job you want to seek. God gave you breath because he is hopeful that he will find pleasure from your life that day. He is hopeful that he will be pleased through your life that day. So this is what we do. We don't care about what God wants, what is troubling God. We just show up and say, you know what? I have a job interview. Can you make power available? Manipulate all the people on the panel. Make them accept me. And when you do that, close, you can go on vacation. It's too self-centered to attract the attention of God. Meanwhile, in your world, what you are asking for is legitimate. Yes, keep that one aside first. Find out, why am I here? He may shock you that morning with a disclosure that will make you lose utterance to even present the matter you brought. And while you get consumed in his matter, he will attend to your own matter. The average believer is not concerned about what bothers God. He's not concerned about why God made him wake up from his sleep. The average minister of the gospel is not concerned about what God is doing. He already has his outline of what he wants to achieve. Such a minister will never collide with the glory of God. Meanwhile, God will not kill him. God will be giving him a little grace so that he can get by. Because at the end of the day, the gospel is preached. But God does not expect any big thing to come out of his life because he doesn't know God's heart. A skillful prayer person that knows that his life depends on prayer begins by attempting to know why. Why did I wake up today? These days when I pray to go preach for meetings, I have realized that God may not be sending me to the whole congregation. He's sending me to one individual in the congregation. And I want to know how to identify that individual. When I started thinking that way, he gives me signs on how to locate that one. 10,000 people. Before I finish, I will find the best. Are you there? Meanwhile, the preacher that preaches a good message and everybody is charged up, he's trying. The one that knows what God wants to do, he's not trying. It is God that is using him. He's not working for God. God is using him. He's working with God. Because he labored to find out what God wanted to do, and then he made himself available to be a vessel. So God was under obligation to reveal to him what he will not reveal to someone that doesn't care about what God wants to do.